Some people will be removed from the meeting. Why, I don't know. Anyway, now we'll start our session. Okay. Good morning, students. I welcome you in the lecture series of Systems in Mechanical Engineering for 2020-21. Okay, I am Professor Vishal Bhagwat, Assistant Professor from Mechanical Department, and teaching you the SME. Okay, so this is lecture number 9. We have started for unit number 2, and it is about applied thermal engineering, or you can say thermal engineering. We'll be looking at certain devices, thermal devices. But before that, we must know the different laws. Okay, so probably today we'll be looking at the different laws. Okay, so laws of thermodynamics. You'll be looking at the Zero's law of thermodynamics, the first law of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, heat engine, then heat pump, refrigerator. These are the quite good devices working on these rules or laws, and some of the example based on those devices or the laws. Okay, so this is about the laws of thermodynamics. Before going for that, if you have any doubt, I would like to again repeat this two-stroke engine. Or no, then we'll move ahead. Okay, so yesterday we covered the two-stroke engine where you have inlet port, exhaust port, and transfer port. Okay, so for when piston is going up, at that time inlet port is open and fuel is coming in. At the same time, the fuel mixture is getting compressed in the combustion chamber. So this is the first stroke. Then there is a spark plug produces a spark, and then there is an explosion. So all the pressure is exerted on the piston head, and piston is moving down. Okay, at rapidly. So when piston is moving down, at that time this exhaust valve is kept open, and this fuel inside this crankcase, it is getting compressed, and it is also going through the transfer port to the cylinder. Okay, upper portion of the cylinder. So this is nothing but the power stroke and expansion stroke. Power stroke and exhaust stroke. You see, when piston is going down, actually it is a power stroke or expansion stroke, and at the same time exhaust port is open, so all the gases are going out. So when piston is going down, it is power and exhaust stroke. When piston is going up, it is inlet and compression stroke. Compression is happening here. See, okay. So that is about this two-stroke engine. Then some of the pros and cons of CNG. Just we'll have. It is an introductory part. So just you see what are the advantages and disadvantages of CNG. So if you see, CNG is a compressed natural gas. Now people are using, it is as optional. Okay, to petrol or diesel. So CNG kits are there. Okay, you may have almost 1 lakh rupees maximum increase in amount if you want to fit CNC kit in your car. Okay, CNG kit in your car. So maximum, okay, it varies 50,000 to 1 lakh, but maximum 1 lakh rupees. But it will take the boot space. Okay, it will get some space. You will not have that cargo space. Anyway, so advantages, pros, say lowest running cost compared to diesel and petrol. Then it will not produce emissions like that is produced by diesel and petrol. Okay, so it is a go green gas, I can say, and it is the best for the environment. No emissions. Okay, or very less emission, or it can produce the green gases. Then it can run on both CNG and petrol due to presence of retrofitted CNG. Okay, so we have initially sometimes we use petrol supplied to the engine to start, and later after a few seconds or minutes you can switch it to the CNG. That is called retrofitted CNG engine. Okay, you might have seen it in some of the vehicles. Okay, then cons. Of course, disadvantages: small capacity of CNG cylinders, maximum 12 kg with 85% uses. Okay, that is this capacity of this cylinder, or it may vary up to 40 kg, 14 kg. Then a low pickup. If you use CNG, of course, you will be having less pickup than the petrol pickup. Okay, in less time, how much it is, covering the distance. Okay, that is nothing but pickup. Acceleration. Take a lot of boot space as the size of CNG kit is comparatively huge. Okay, so boot space is it consuming? You have to fit it somewhere in your dicky. You can say dicky in cargo space, boot space. So that is the space is actually consumed. But in some of the cases, actually in some designs, the designer, okay, car manufacturer can set this cylinder below the car, okay, below the chassis. Anyway, lack of fuel stations and refueling is time taking, time consuming. Okay, fuel stations are not frequent as there are for petrol and diesel. Okay, long-term reliability of ownership is less if CNG fitment is not fitter in branded factory. Okay, so government is tracking it, and if it is not branded one CNG fitting, then you may not hold it for a long time. Your registration may be cancelled for this vehicle, and you may get some fine also. You may be paying some money for the fine. Okay, so this I have taken from the internet. Like I said, you have to search something about advantages of CNG. But yes, okay, I should tell it here. So this is the reference for this, and again you can search little bit about the CNG, how it works and all. Okay, YouTube video you can see. Now about the laws of thermodynamics, we'll see the first law. It's not first law actually; it's Zero's law. And what is the Zero's law? I explained in practical sessions. So if there is a body A which is in thermal equilibrium with body C, thermal equilibrium, okay, that means what? Body A and body C temperatures will be same. Okay, if it is not, then it will be same after some time. So then there will be equilibrium position, thermal equilibrium state. Okay, and if body B is in thermal equilibrium with body C, understood? So first, what you see, if body A is in thermal equilibrium with body C and body B is in thermal equilibrium with body C, that means what? Body A and body B are also in thermal equilibrium. Okay, that is nothing but the Zero's law of thermodynamics. This is a statement that you can simply comment or write in exam. If body A is in thermal equilibrium with body C, body B is in thermal equilibrium with body C, then body A and B are also in thermal equilibrium. Okay, fine. So what's the best example is the thermometer. Okay, this is the thermometer. What you can see, when this part of the thermometer is in hot body or hot water, okay, when it is connected to hot water, so hot water may be having some temperature, okay, that will be transferred to this. Then you will see it is transferred to the glass, and you will see the mercury is getting the heat transfer, and it will show the reading. Okay, so there are different bodies, but when those are in thermal equilibrium, all bodies will show the same temperature. That is the meaning of thermal equilibrium and Zero's law of thermodynamics. Okay, I hope you understood it. Now first law of thermodynamics. Okay, now you see, you just observe this cursor. Okay, this is a setup. Apparatus used to measure the relation between heat energy and mechanical energy. Okay, heat energy and mechanical. There is some insight. The equivalence of mechanical energy and heat energy. What is it? What's the story about it? The equivalence of mechanical energy and heat energy. So how do you measure the heat energy and how do you measure the mechanical energy, right? So it is said here, say in 1840s, James Joule, okay, name of scientist, James Joule measured the mechanical equivalent of heat energy with an apparatus like shown in figure. Okay, so what is shown in figure? You will see there is a insulated chamber in which inside there is a fluid. Thermometer is placed for measuring the temperature of that fluid. Now in the fluid there is one paddle, okay, or propeller. It is rotated by this pulley arrangement here. The pulleys are connected. Here is one pulley. It is connected with this another pulley, and now for that thread, actually mass is connected. Okay, m is the mass. What is happening if mass is lowering down or it is moving up and down. That way this propeller is rotating, and as this stirrer or propeller is mounted with these pads, okay, so those are actually turbulating the fluid, sorry, turbulating the fluid, and that's why there is a motion of molecules here and there, and you get a rise in temperature, right? So this is the mechanism. So this is the apparatus as is shown in figure. As a mass falls through a height z, okay, this is the potential difference z, height, its potential energy is utilized to rotate the propeller in a liquid. The propeller's motion heats the liquid, increases the liquid temperature, okay, that way, and it is sensed by the thermometer. According to the principle of conservation of energy, okay, the change in potential energy, that means what, when mass is going from this position to this position, or from this position to this position, up and down, right, change in potential energy of mass is converted to the heat, okay, it's converted to heat, and this way Joule was able to relate the unit used at that time for heat energy, that is calorie. And you know what is how kilocalorie is converted into kilojoule, right? We have solved one numerical based on it. So calorie can be converted into mechanical, I mean heat energy, which is measured in calorie, that can be converted into mechanical energy, which will be measured in the joule. Okay, so this is a Joule's experiment. Okay, and from this experiment, the James Joule has derived first law of thermodynamics. Okay, is somebody is coming or no? So now first law of thermodynamics, and I guess you have seen the first law of thermodynamics earlier, you know, but we'll see some different statement, actually different way it is represented sometime. Okay, this is a graph for this process. You see work, W is work, Q is the heat. So these two, work and heat, are path function. Mind these words, work and heat are the path functions, thermodynamic properties, but the path function. So 1 to 2 is the path. 1 is the thermodynamic state. Second, 2 is also one thermodynamic state. So between which you get the work. It's not that for each point you will get different work. It's not that case. There are states. So state number 1 and state number 2, between which only you are going to find out what is the work input or work output, or heat rejection or heat addition. So here you can see from 1 to 2 there is a work in, because mechanical work is acting on the system. Mechanical work is there. So work in the system, and Q out or heat rejected here. You'll see you will get the mechanical, heat generation rate or the amount with the thermometer. Okay, you can sense it. So 1 to 2 is the heat work in, work addition, and heat rejection is 2 to 1. This is a reversible process. So it's an assumption this is a reversible process, but practically there is no reversible process. All processes are irreversible. That means what? You cannot get W is equal to Q, or you cannot get Q is equal to W actually. But these are the rules. We say laws and rules are sometimes ideal. Okay, so that's why the first law says something like this. Okay, so first law, I hope you are with some pen and paper, or you understand well. Okay, this is a very important unit that the lecture from which we are going now. The first law of thermodynamics is when a closed system undergoes a cyclic process, cyclic integral of work transfer is proportional to cyclic integration of heat transfer. In earlier figure you have seen W is coming in and Q is going out. That means what? It is we are keeping it as a reversible process. We are considering it, and that means what? dW is equal to dQ. Okay. So what is said here? When a closed system undergoes, this is very important, closed system. This is applicable to the closed system, right? When a closed system, you know the thermodynamic system, open system, closed system, and isolated system, correct? So a closed system is this, where energy, heat cannot transfer, the mass cannot transfer across the boundary of the system. So closed system में क्या होता है? So when it undergoes cyclic process, cyclic integral of work. This is a integration symbol, simple integration. But cyclic integration means what? Note that there has to be some circle. Okay, this is cyclic integration. So integration you draw, and then you draw here one circle. So that is nothing but a cyclic integration. Understood? So this is cyclic integration symbol. So when cyclic integration of work transfer, when closed system undergoes a cyclic process, that time cyclic integration of work transfer is proportional to cyclic integration of heat transfer. Okay. Another way you can represent this, the normal process. Okay. dq, change in heat transfer, is equal to dw, change in work, plus internal energy of the body. Okay, this you might have learned earlier in your 11th or 12th standard, or maybe prior to that. Is it okay? So dq is equal to dw plus change in internal energy. Delta u is change in internal energy. Always you measure dw and dq, not dw and q. That means what? You require two states, at least two states, 1 and 2, so that you get a difference between w, so that you get difference between q. Okay, so that is nothing but dq and dw. It's not q and w. Remember, it is a path function. Path function means what? Unless you will not move from one place to another, there will not be work done. That's why first position is your one state, second position is your second state. Difference between that is actually nothing but work done. Understood? So it is a path function. That is called path function. Work and heat is path function. Then you will see another way it can be represented statement. When a closed system undergoes a cyclic process, algebraic sum of work and heat is zero. Algebraic sum of work and heat is zero. That is summation, algebraic sum of W minus algebraic sum of Q is equal to zero. Again, when it is undergoing the closed cycle. Okay, closed system undergoes going in the closed cycle. Algebraic sum of work and heat is zero. That means what? Work and heat are same. Okay, whatever work is in, that is transferring heat, that is generating heat, or what is heat, how much heat is supplied to the system, it will produce some work. Okay, now this is very famous statement about the first law of thermodynamics, that is, energy cannot be created nor be destroyed, it converts into one form to another, total energy of the universe remains constant. Okay, till now you may be knowing this is the only statement of first law of thermodynamics, but not. This is these are the different statements when a system undergoes a cyclic process, closed system. Okay, so cyclic integration of dw is proportional to dq, and algebraic sum of w and q is zero. Understood it? Fine. And it is another way you can say, it is not possible to have PMM1, perpetual motion machine of first kind. PMM1 is perpetual motion machine of first kind. What is it? So here, perpetual motion machine of first kind means what? It is actually disobeying the first law of thermodynamics. Understood? Perpetual motion machine, PMM1, means it is a machine which will not follow the first law of thermodynamics. And what is the first law of thermodynamics then? It is not possible to have PMM1, or it is not possible to create such PMM1 which will not follow the first law of thermodynamics. And what is PMM1? So basically you will see this figure. So the box is actually a machine. The box is actually a machine, and first law, what it says? First law says cyclic integration of W or work is proportional to cyclic integration of dq. Okay, I'll see who is coming there. No one. Okay. Too much disturbances. See, somebody is coming. Why? I don't know. Raj Tawri, very good. Raj, you enter your roll number there. Okay. So this is a figure. The box is this is how you represent the PMM1. So actual first law of thermodynamics is cyclic integration of dW is proportional to cyclic integration of dQ. That means our work and Q. Work is equal to Q. Here also algebraic sum of W and Q is 0. That means what? Algebraic sum of W is equal to algebraic sum of Q. That means what? A machine receives some heat Q and it will produce some work output. Okay, that is the drawing, or that is the representation of first law of thermodynamics. Understood? So this is not a dotted in case it is a first law of thermodynamics. So it is a continuous line. Q is coming, heat is supplied to the or heat energy is supplied to the engine or machine, and it will produce the work. That is first law of thermodynamics. dW is equal to dQ. Okay. And in reverse manner also, the machine is receiving some input work and it will produce some heat Q. Okay, it is continuous line. So that is nothing but the first law of thermodynamics. But what is PMM? PMM says that PMM, a machine which will not follow this rule. That means what? This is a figure of first law of PMM. PMM क्या figure रहेगा PMM का? In case you have this machine and you will not receive any Q. That's why it is, I have shown it is dotted. Okay, you will not, or you can mention here Q is equal to 0. Okay, so you will not have any Q heat input, but still you are producing some output W. So then it is a representation of PMM1. And what is the first law of thermodynamics? You will have Q and you will have W. Q in, W out. This is also a representation of converse of PMM1. How? So you will receive some input energy, electricity, and then you will not produce heat. You will not produce, Q is equal to 0. You will not produce any heat. So that is nothing but PMM1. But actual first law says you must have W in and you must have Q out. अगर आप आयन को जो अपना इस्त्री करते हैं ना आप, so आयन को अगर आप इलेक्ट्रिसिटी देते हो, so what will happen? It will heat, right? Or any electrical device, if it is consuming electricity, basically it is heating. So W is getting converted into Q. That is the first law of thermodynamics. But PMM1 is what? It is getting any form of electricity, but it will not produce any heat. So that is PMM1. So basically PMM1 is a machine, perpetual motion machine, which will not allow, which will not follow the first law of thermodynamics. Fine. This is first law of thermodynamics. Limitation of first law of thermodynamics. The process can occur in a particular direction only. Heat transfer from hot body to cold body. Okay, heat transfer from hot body to cold body. It will not give any sign of heat transfer from cold body to hot body. Okay, so you know this is the case. Okay, when there is a hot cup of water, I mean the tea or coffee, what you can say, and there is a heat transfer from this cup to the surrounding air or the room air. So heat transfer is happening always from hot body to cold body. Okay, and that is actually limitation of first law of thermodynamics. Okay, it only happens from one direction, from this to this. It is not the reverse one. It is not reversible. Now you can see. Work can be converted into, now this is very important limitation. Work can be converted into equivalent amount of heat, but heat cannot be converted into equivalent amount of work. Sorry. Understood? So you have seen the Joule's experiment where there was a mass. The mass was falling down. Understood? The mass was falling down and inside the pedal was rotating where it was generating the heat. But can it possible that you boil the water inside the chamber, and then based on that the mass will move up and down? Is it possible? Is it possible?
No.
Understood? It will not possible. Okay, it will not possible. You have some piston and this arrangement, anyway, you understood it. When you are going to heat the chamber, closed chamber where there is an inside fluid. So anyway, fluid will be boiling, but the mass will not go up and down. Okay. So what you can repeat here is work can be converted into equivalent amount of heat, which W is converted into Q, but Q cannot be completely converted into W. Understood? So this is a limitation, and actually first law says W is equal to Q or Q is equal to W. So this is limitation. So here is the this was a figure, I forgot it. So here is the heat that you supply, and based on this heat, this mass will not move here and there, or it will little bit movement may be there, okay, small. But in the reverse manner, if you move this up and down, surely the inside fluid is getting heated because of the pattern. And as there are some limitation of first law of thermodynamics, you have second law of thermodynamics always there. It gives necessary but not sufficient condition for process to occur. Okay, it gives necessary but not sufficient condition to process to occur means what? Information, basically information. Okay. Now there is a second law of thermodynamics. Are you getting it, or is too fast? Somebody please reply.
No, sir. It's okay.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Actually, have you learned a second law of thermodynamics in your previous classes?
Yes.
Second law of thermodynamics.
Yes.
Okay. Kelvin-Planck statement. Okay. Fine. Very good. So then I can increase my speed a little bit. Okay. So actually, in second law of thermodynamics, there are two statements now. Okay, two statements. One is Kelvin-Planck statement. Okay, and another is Clausius statement. Kelvin-Planck statement is about basically conversion of amount of work. Okay, and the Clausius statement is about direction of heat flow. Basically, you see direction of heat flow from a cold body to hot body in case of second law of thermodynamics. So earlier, what we have seen, these are the limitations. So based on these limitations, you have second law of thermodynamics. But these limitations tells you about, one is there is a direction problem. I mean, there is always, it is mentioned that hot body to cold body heat transfer. But second law says that it is also possible to transfer heat from cold body to hot body, but you should have some external energy source. Then work can be converted into equivalent amount of heat and vice versa. Okay, so here is the Kelvin-Planck statement. Now you can see it is impossible. It is saying that, okay, it is impossible to construct a device which works on cycle whose sole effect is to transfer heat from single reservoir and convert it into equal amount of work. So Q is not possible to convert into work completely. This is a statement. Q cannot be converted into W completely. That is the meaning of this statement. That is, heat supplied cannot be converted into work output completely. And in other way, you can say it is impossible to have a machine or an engine which will give 100% output. Understood? Which will give you 100% output. That is nothing but this is not possible, right? It is not possible to absorb the heat from some reservoir, supply to engine, and then engine will convert it 100% into work output. So Q is equal to W, not possible. Understood? So this is not possible. The Kelvin-Planck statement is saying that it is impossible to construct a device which will run 100% efficiency with 100% efficiency. So this is a representation of 100% efficiency. If you are with me, please mind these words, observe this figure well. This is a figure of 100% efficiency of engine. Why? Because it is receiving heat Q absorb or Q1 from the heat source, hot temperature, high temperature body. From it is receiving the energy or heat, and engine is utilizing that energy and convert into work. So what you get efficiency? 100%. Is it possible? No. Then what is a Kelvin statement drawing or diagram or representation? So you see, this is called PMM2 now. PMM2 means what? Which will disobey the second law of thermodynamics. And what is the statement of Kelvin-Planck statement? This is not possible. This figure is not possible. That means what? This figure is of PMM2, perpetual motion machine of second kind. I hope you are getting it. This is the 100% efficiency figure, and that is of PMM2, because it is not obeying the first second law of thermodynamics. And what is said? It said it is not possible. It is impossible to convert all the heat into work. Then what is the figure of Kelvin-Planck statement? Here there is always losses. So Q1 or Q absorbed from the high temperature body, it is received. Q means heat. Okay, heat. It is received by engine. It will produce some output, and some amount of energy is sent, or it will be rejected to the heat sink. Heat sink is the reservoir at low temperature body. So heat source is at T1 temperature, and heat sinks is at T2 temperature. So T1 is always greater than T2. That is the representation. So heat always flows from high temperature body to low temperature body. Okay, please put your attendance in the chat box. Okay, fine. So what have you seen? A heat is received. It will produce some work output. You know, this is the PMM2, and finally, actual figure of Kelvin-Planck statement is this. It is possible. Practically, this is possible. So Q1 is input, work output, and Q2 is rejected. So actual work output is Q1 minus Q2 only. Fine. The Clausius statement, it is impossible to construct a device which works on the cycle whose sole effect is whose sole effect is to transfer heat from low temperature body to high temperature body. Okay, this is a figure of PMM2 according to Clausius statement. Clausius statement is saying that it is impossible. This figure is impossible. Understood? So one is extracting heat from cold temperature body, low temperature, and it is rejecting heat to the high temperature. Is it possible? Naturally. Can you extract heat from low temperature body and send it to high temperature body? In that case, first law is not valid, because first law says that there is a heat flow from a high temperature body to low temperature body. And Clausius is also saying that it is impossible to transfer heat from cold temperature body to hot temperature body. It is impossible, right? So this is a PMM2. Somebody is saying that it is possible, so that is PMM2. Someone may make such a machine which extract heat from cold temperature body and reject it to high temperature body. But how is it possible? Is it possible only if you have work in? This is your heat pump or refrigerator. This is your heat pump or refrigerator. Normally you use heat pump for in the winter to heat the space. Okay, and you use the air conditioner or the refrigerator in order to cool the space. So HP/R, for both the cases, this is the figure. HP is heat pump, R is refrigerator. Both the cases, what you get as the cold body, from cold body you are extracting heat. Okay, it is possible to extract. Why? Because you are getting some input, electricity, the work in. So that only it is possible to extract some amount of heat from cold body, and then that you are rejecting to the hot body. Okay, so in the hot body, this is important. I mean, in heat pump, hot body heating is important, and in refrigerator, cold body cooling is important. Okay, you are cooling the space inside the refrigerator. So you are making it much cooler as you are getting continuous supply of electricity. So in case of refrigerator, cold body temperature is important. Q absorb is the desirable effect. In case of heat pump, you are rejecting heat to some space. You are heating the room. That's why Q rejected, that amount is important in case of heat pump. This is a desirable effect. Q rejected is the desirable effect. How much addition is taking place inside the room? How much heat addition is taking place inside the room? That is the desirable effect. How much heat is getting absorbed by the cool body, that is, or cool place, that is a desirable effect for the refrigerator. Understood? So this is nothing but the Clausius statement figure. Heat engine. This is the heat engine. Like I said, heat engine, where you have remember, this is very important difference between heat engine and then heat pump and refrigerator. Okay, now few minutes are very important for you. You please concentrate here. I hope you are with me. So this is the engine, simple representation of engine. Okay, so this is the engine, and how engine runs. You see how engine runs. Engine, you get some input energy. So Q absorb is for engine. Engine absorbs some Q. Q means what? Q heat. Q1. Okay. So heat absorb from high temperature body. It absorbs some heat and it produces some work output. But it cannot produce completely a conversion of Q absorb to Q W out. So Q cannot be converted into W. That's what losses are there. So losses are Q rejected. So there are two bodies. One is high temperature body T1, low temperature body T2, or reservoir, heat sink and heat source. Heat source from which you are observing Q. Heat sink to which you are rejecting the heat. Okay, fine. T1 and T2. T1 is always greater than T2. This is a representation. So Q absorb is for engine. It will reject some heat and then it will produce some work output. So work output is always difference between Q absorbed and Q rejected. Q absorbed minus Q rejected. You can see input to reheat engine is heat supplied. Are you with me? Input, now you note down it carefully. Draw the figure and note down. Input is for heat engine is heat supplied. And what is heat supplied to heat engine? It is Q absorb. So I just represent Q absorb as a Q1. Q1 is here. Okay. Then what is the loss? Loss is heat rejected to heat source or somewhere else at low temperature body. So this is happening naturally, no? Heat is flowing from high temperature body to low temperature body. So natural phenomena. And when there is a natural phenomena, you find out here efficiency. The performance of this machine can be measured in terms of efficiency. Why? Because it is a natural phenomena. What is natural phenomena? Heat is seen here. It is transferred from high temperature body to low temperature body. And by doing that, engine is producing some work output. So what is work output? So work output is actually Q absorbed minus Q rejected. And in terms of that, then you can say Q1 minus Q2. Fine. Input is Q1. Output is Q1 minus Q2. Heat rejected is Q2. So efficiency of engine in that case. Why? Because it is happening with the natural rule. Heat transfer from T1 to T2. T1 is higher temperature, T2 is lower temperature. So it is work output minus heat in or heat supplied. So heat supplied is Q1 and work output is Q1 minus Q2. So efficiency is basically Q1 minus Q2 divided by Q1, or Q absorb minus Q rejected divided by Q absorb. This is the efficiency of heat engine. Okay. Understood? Please reply quickly.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. We have some numericals. Okay, that's why I'm stressing this too much. So next is heat pump. Now heat pump, you know, when will you use heat pump? Tell me first. What is the function of heat pump? I said it earlier, no? For quick. You can make text in chat box also your reply. Heat pump. क्यों यूज करना है हीट पंप? हीट पंप का काम क्या है? हीट पंप इज नॉट योर हाइड्रोलिक पंप, इट इज हीट पंप. हीट पंप का क्या काम है? क्यों यूज करते हैं हीट पंप? Any reply? No. Are you attending the lecture or not? Shall I call your names? Okay, fine. David, I have less time today.
To move heat from a cool space
Hello,
to
sir.
warm space.
हीट पंप ट्रांसफर करती है, एनर्जी ट्रांसफर करती है.
हाँ, वो तो कंसेप्ट हो गया. एक्चुअली मैंने पूछा कि हीट पंप का काम क्या है. बेसिकली क्या करते हैं हम लोग? हीट पंप जो है ना, तो रूम हीट करने के लिए यूज करते हैं. हीट पंप इज जस्ट हीटर. Okay, so in winter people we are using actually heat pump to heat the space. Okay, in winter normally. So heat अब हमको क्या करना है? स्पेस हीट करना है हीट पंप से, जो एक्चुअली क्या करेगा? लो टेम्परेचर बॉडी से हीट एक्सट्रैक्ट करके अंदर भेजेगा. लो टेम्परेचर बॉडी कहाँ है? विंटर में रूम के बाहर. आप जहां बैठे हो उस रूम के बाहर लो टेम्परेचर है. व्हाट इज द टेम्परेचर आउटसाइड? लेट्स से 15 डिग्री सेल्सियस. 15 डिग्री सेल्सियस का टेम्परेचर है. अंदर क्या है, आपको बढ़ाना है टेम्परेचर अप टू 25 डिग्री सेल्सियस, तो आप क्या करेंगे, आप यूज करेंगे हीट पंप, जो कैसे काम करेगा, जो काम करेगा इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से। सो बेसिकली इलेक्ट्रिसिटी इज W in and cold body is at T2 temperature. Cold body is outside your room. So environment is the cold body which is at 15 degree Celsius. 15. तो आपको क्या करना है, आपको Q absorb, आप क्या Q absorb करेंगे कोल्ड बॉडी से, और आप Q रिजेक्ट करेंगे हॉट बॉडी में। हॉट बॉडी में मतलब आप कहां बैठे हैं, you are sitting in at T1. This is a hot body, this is your room, you are sitting here. So actually you are interested in to know what is Q rejected. Understood? Actually you are interested in what is Q rejected by Q heat pump, because that is actually addition to your room. Understood? So you are interested, आप इसमें इंटरेस्टेड हो कि कितना Q रिजेक्ट करता है हीट पंप, जिससे आपको रूम में कंफर्ट मिलता है, हीट मिलता है। सो दिस इज अ डिजायरेबल इफेक्ट, Q rejected is a desirable effect. And how Q absorb is happening, because the heat pump is receiving some input energy, W in. And what is W in? Basically it is a difference between Q rejected and Q absorb. So heat is flowing from low temperature body to high temperature body. It is not possible to flow that heat from low temperature body to high temperature body naturally. That's why you have electricity. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी वहां है जो आप कंज्यूम करते हो, आपका हीट पंप कंज्यूम करता है या रेफ्रिजरेटर कंज्यूम करता है, तभी ये पॉसिबल है कि आप कोल्ड बॉडी से हीट निकालो और हॉट बॉडी को दे दो। ओके, सो नाउ यू हैव डिजायरेबल इफेक्ट हियर इज Q रिजेक्टेड। आर यू विथ मी? यस,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
फाइन। सो डिजायरेबल इफेक्ट इज एक्चुअली Q रिजेक्टेड, जो आपको वो T1 बॉडी को रहेगा, T1 टेम्परेचर, एंड T2 टेम्परेचर को क्या रहेगा, Q रिजेक्टेड रहेगा। So T1 is always greater than T2. T1 is always greater than T2. Okay, that's what we are working against the law, and what we required is the electricity. So input is क्या है, वो electricity है. So that is Q absorbed minus Q rejected. That means what? Q1 minus Q2. Nothing else. Something will be either Q1 will be higher, Q rejected may be higher, or Q absorbed may be higher. We don't know. Q1 is higher or Q2 higher. We don't know. But basically, difference between them is nothing but working. That is nothing but the electricity consumed by the heat pump to give you desirable effect. What is desirable effect? Is the Q1, Q rejected to this space. That is desirable effect. फोन आ रहा है अभी इतनी देर से, ठीक है। क्या करें आप लोग, कैसे यूज करते हैं ये सब? email ID you have to use VPK. Okay, so this was work input. Now as this is not happening again with the natural laws, okay, it not naturally you say hot body temperature flows from or heat flows from high body temperature to low body temperature. It is natural. That's why you found out there for heat engine efficiency. Now for heat pump you cannot measure the performance in terms of efficiency, but you have coefficient of performance, COP. I hope you are with me. This is called COP, coefficient of performance, COP, coefficient of performance of heat pump, because you are extracting heat from low temperature body and you are sending it to the high temperature. It is against the natural law. So COP, and what is the formula of it? It is desirable effect divided by work in. And what is desirable effect? Is the Q rejected. Understood? For heat pump, Q rejected is the desirable effect. Heat pump, जो आप रूम में ही बैठे हो और आप रिजेक्ट कर रहा है हीट पंप आपको इतना हीट. So that is nothing but the Q rejected. And work in what? Work in is Q1 minus Q2. Always. So I can say coefficient of performance of heat, COP of heat pump. It is Q1. It is Q rejected. Okay, Q1 divided by Q1 minus Q2. Is it fine? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Fine. And now it is completely different for the heat refrigerator. Now I will not talk much about it. You will see refrigerator is also working with that principle. Okay, refrigerator is absorbing heat from the refrigerator or the cool space. आपका जो रेफ्रिजरेटर फ्रीज रहेगा घर में, वो क्या करता है बेसिकली, वो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से काम करता है. इलेक्ट्रिसिटी से क्या होता है, वो अंदर का जो स्पेस है कूल करते जाता है. And how why it will cool? Because it is getting some energy ना, and where it is extracting heat, it is वो cool करता है, लेकिन वो क्या करता है, heat बाहर भेजता है. So actually it is sending heat outside. तो आपने देखा होगा कि आप अगर रेफ्रिजरेटर के पीछे जाओगे तो वहां एक कंप्रेसर फिट हुआ रहेगा. जो कंप्रेसर क्या करता है, हीट प्रोड्यूस करता है. फ्रिज के पीछे आप अगर हाथ लगाओगे तो वो गर्म रहेगा, फ्रिज के अंदर कूल रहेगा. सो समवेयर देयर हैज टू बी हीट ट्रांसफर. ओके, sorry. So the work, this Q, okay, so T1 temperature is this, T1 temperature is here at the outside the room, and let's say consider this is a winter condition, no, summer condition. So where you are interested in Q absorb. So कितना आपका जो आप यहाँ बैठे हो कोल्ड बॉडी पे, यहाँ आपका रूम है, तो कितना आपका जो रूम है ना वो बाहर फेंकेगा ये हीट. सो दैट इज नथिंग बट अ डिजायरेबल इफेक्ट, Q absorb. So in case of the refrigerator, Q absorb, Q2 is the desirable effect which is at low temperature body, and Q rejected is the it is a loss. Okay, fine. So input is always Q rejected minus Q absorb, okay, or Q absorb minus Q rejected, whichever is higher. Okay, no issue. So Q1 minus Q2 or Q2 minus Q1, anyway we want a difference, that is working electricity. So COP of R, again this is working against the law, natural law. So we measure here COP instead of efficiency, coefficient of performance of refrigerator. So that is nothing but desirable effect divided by Q1 minus Q2, that is working. Now can you tell me what is the desirable effect and what is the formula of COP? Quickly please reply, we'll stop in 2 minutes.
Q2 upon Q1 minus Q2.
Very good. Q2 upon Q1 minus Q2. COP of R is Q absorb divided by work in, and that is Q2 divided by Q1 upon Q2. So that is all about refrigerator. Now we will get some numerical based on this. Okay. So heat engine, again this is a revision of few slides. So engine is receiving energy from high temperature body, Q absorb. It will produce some work output, and there will be some losses, Q rejected, Q2. So work output is always Q1 minus Q2 or Q absorb minus Q rejected. Who is coming? I don't know this. Fine. In 10, 15 you are coming. Okay, fine. So this is heat engine, and then there is a difference between heat engine and heat pump. How? Because you absorb heat from the low temperature body. In engine you absorb from high temperature body. Okay, you reject it to the high temperature body in case of heat pump and refrigerator. You reject the heat at low temperature, high temperature body. So that's why you require some electricity. Work in is here for heat pump and refrigerator. Remember, work in is here. ये क्या करता है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी कंज्यूम करता है, यूज करता है, तभी ये ऐसे काम कर पाता है. सो दैट्स व्हाई यू कैन नॉट फाइंड आउट हियर एफिशिएंसी, बट you measure the COP, coefficient of performance for heat pump, coefficient of performance for refrigerator. Where in case of engine ये naturally natural rule follow करता है, जो high temperature body से heat absorb करता है और reject करता है low temperature body को, जो easily possible है. तो ये क्या करता है, इसका performance हम measure करेंगे efficiency में, work output. So efficiency is Q absorb minus Q rejected divided by Q absorb. Okay. Work in is basically, or work out is difference between Q absorb and Q rejected. You get a COP of R is Q absorb divided by work in, and you get COP of HP as Q rejected divided by work in. Work in always Q1 minus Q2. You will have this numerical. Quickly note down it. A reversible heat engine. Okay, fine. Do not note down. We'll stop here. We'll see these numericals. Or what I do, I will send you the my previous YouTube videos about the numericals and all this topic. Please watch them well. We'll have concept test based on it, and try to subscribe. Okay, you can transfer these videos and links to the another division, your friends. Ask them to subscribe so that I can make some other new numericals, which will be coming to your email. Okay, if you subscribe it, fine, or your Google Classroom. Fine. So we'll stop here.